The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Wrong move, brother! You lose!
Terminator is out there. Terminator is out there.
Yo, I didn't even have my sound on. Here, let's do it again for the two of you watching. Welcome, welcome. We're here on Controlled Substance. I'm your host, Orphan. Just popped open to Spindrift. We got a banging chat. Off to a great start. Literally no problems, and we keep going. Today's going to be a good one. The goal of today is to talk about some nudes, obviously, but more importantly, we're going to try and farm some clips. So if you guys have any ideas of outrageous things to say that we can pop and try and pop into the YouTube algorithm and try and make go off, then let's see what we can do there. But we got a great show. 4 things we're going over today. Today's Blue Pill. We're talking about IDubbbz. If you guys know him, he was an old streamer. Hit his heyday around 2016 or so. He was making fun of those Kickstarter projects. He was, it sounds like my camera mic. Dude. Okay, now. Okay, now is it working? Now you can hear me, I guarantee it. I guarantee everything's fine now. 100%. Sometimes I have to restart my audio interface. And I forgot, I was messing around with my scenes today, and I forgot to go hide all my unused audio tracks. So I was like digging, wasn't sure what I needed to do. But we should be good now. We should be good now. Thank you guys for helping me work through that. Yeah, Iron, it's every streamer knows if there's a streamer who hasn't gone live with their mic muted, I want to meet them because that's incredible. Everyone I know has. Yo, Iron, I got the vertical OBS filter set up too, so we should be able to farm some nice little YouTube clips. Quick snap. All right, guys, let's get into it. Today's first story is the blue pill. We're talking about IDubbbz. He used to run a show called Content Cop where he basically just A-logged and roasted people either starting Kickstarters or just being general chos on the internet. And he's turned full libtard cuck by his girlfriend. People mostly know about this, but he just posted an apology video, and I want to watch it and see what not to do, you know? Look for an example of how not to act on the internet. I watched it a little bit last night, but we're going to dive into it today. After that, we got our black pill, talking about some, I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, but some jabberinos. Apparently, it's causing a lot more problems than even we already knew, which is wild. And then Bill Gates is also trying to hide some dirty laundry. So we talk about those two things. Red pill, we're talking about why you shouldn't trust doctors or lawyers because they're actually stupid. And for our white pill, we're gonna save that one for the end, but it should be a good time.
Let him cook.
Let's go. All right, first things first. Check out this new intro. Go. Let's go.
For what?
Look up the browser real quick. Oh, there we go. This should be showing now. Bingo. All right, guys. So this is IDubbbz. He used to look, I mean, he kind of looked always this nerdy, honestly, but the tattoos are new. And I don't know if you guys ever saw, but he did a documentary on Sam Hyde, and Sam Hyde completely made up like an entire life and trolled the fuck out of IDubbbz, and it was hilarious. And in response, IDubbbz, with his Creator Clash, his boxing event for YouTubers, he completely banned Sam from that event out of spite. There's a whole backstory here, but I just want to dive into this and see what is he talking about. Does he have anything to apologize for, and like what is going on here? Because he used to be such a Chad. He used to be really funny.
While I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value. But I'm starting to realize that that is a very weak and passive way to, you know, run my channel and live my life. So I think it's, you know, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for
what he's talking about there is he went and trolled like a popular YouTuber at the time. He went up to her at a fan meetup and said the N-word in front of her, got her to say the N-word, I guess. So I think he's kind of just like, he's either feeling bad or has been convinced to feel bad
mistakes I've made.
About
so
making off-color
that's what
jokes.
this video is. I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel. And I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel. So I don't want people to, you know, get it confused about, you know, where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos.
Here's the first thing I want to say is, like, his content was edgy, but it was no worse than a middle school like your friends picking on you. He really didn't do that much except for just make fun of people. And to be honest, I don't know how much damage a YouTube video can cause. I really don't think that it's that big a deal. People just need to chill out a little bit, you know? Like, there needs to be people on the fringes. There needs to be people doing edgy stuff, because 99% of people are not. And it's just always so weird when someone gets successful off of doing one thing. People obviously like it, right? It's obviously a greater good than bad if you get to a point where you have, what, 8 million subscribers, 7.5 million subscribers. Like, he didn't get to 7.5 million subscribers by making apology videos and saying the same shit that everyone would expect him to say, right? So I just wish he would own it a little bit better.
And videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and you know, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and you know, I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty.
I don't get the idea of like, you make YouTube videos, bro. You're not indoctrinating anyone. You're making YouTube videos, and like, he's pretending like all of his fans are just actual retards and can't think for themselves, have no idea. They see one of his videos and then they go out and do just heinous things. And that's not how anything works. It's all different levels of influence, right? So on one hand, like, you can change and you can do different things, but I hate this self-flagellating for things in your past that have worked and people have enjoyed, just because the culture right now says that they're not acceptable anymore. Dude, it's like, I remember doing a stream a long time ago, and I had a guy on the stream, and he said that Dr. Seuss should be canceled and nobody should read Dr. Seuss anymore. And that line of thinking is so fucking wild to me. It doesn't make any sense that, like, the times change, people change, the zeitgeist changes, and I don't get this grandstanding about comparing your old self or something old to what's going on now. There needs to be proper context in a healthy way, and it just isn't happening. And it's so clearly for attention, or someone got in his ear and was like, you should probably do this.
Very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or like entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly, and it's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, he bullied the bullies. He was going after people who were
this hurtful content.
Just shitty.
You know, I ended up pivoting it into other things because I felt bad about it, like, innately. But it's still something that I struggle with, and I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think...
And that right there, that is the entirety of it, right? He is clearly an incredibly unconfident person, you know? That's what it all boils down to. He wasn't sure that he was doing the right thing. He didn't know. He just started getting some attention, so he kept doing it. And now that the tides have turned a little bit, and nobody's complaining about it, right? Like, nobody's really going off on this guy. This just came out of nowhere. What, 4 days ago? Just for no reason. So it's not like he's getting heat or anything. It's just, I don't know. And I hate YouTube apology videos anyways. Like, we're going to get to this later in the white bill. You know, maybe we should get to it now. But what it all boils down to is that it's a lack of self-security. It's a lack of confidence. Because a normal person, a well-adjusted person, would be able to say, yeah, I did that, and like I just don't do that anymore. I mean, it's really not that hard. It's like, oh yeah, I did that, like, but I just don't do it anymore. You don't need to, however many years later, out of the blue, post a random 20-minute YouTube video of you apologizing for something that no one cares about. So, anyways, this kind of leads into the white pill story. His girlfriend's blackmailing him. Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't want to go down the whole girlfriend rabbit hole, but his girlfriend sucks. She does OnlyFans, and that was a big thing a while ago, that he was like okay with her doing OnlyFans while they were dating, which boggles my mind, man. Can't imagine. I can't even imagine. Literally, and they'll all say like, "Oh, I'm not a cuck." Like, that's literally the definition of being a cuck. Is letting your girlfriend sell her body on the internet. So, I just don't get it. Wouldn't be me, dude. Couldn't be me. Unless, now hear me out, unless you could make a lot of money. Steph, what would be the dollar amount for you to do an OnlyFans? $200, $300? Something like that, probably. So check this out, guys. This is a study that popped on my feed. Does apologizing work? An empirical test of conventional wisdom. I'm going to read this abstract because it just sums it up really nicely. And also it's a paywalled study. I have a little graph here, but the abstract reads, public figures often apologize after making controversial statements. There are reasons to believe, however, that apologizing makes public figures appear weak and risk-averse, which may make them less likable and lead members of the public to want to punish them. This paper represents the results of an experiment in which respondents were given two versions of two real-life controversies involving public figures. Approximately half of the participants read a story that made it appear that the person had apologized, while the rest were led to believe that the individuals had stood firm. In the first experiment, hearing that Rand Paul apologized for his comments on the civil rights did not change whether respondents were less likely to vote for him. When presented with two versions of the controversy surrounding Larry Summers and his comments about women scientists and engineers, however, liberals and females were more likely to say that he should have faced negative consequences for his statement when presented with his apology. The effect on other groups were smaller or neutral. The evidence suggests that when a prominent figure apologizes for a controversial statement, individuals are either unaffected or become more likely to desire that the individual be punished. Okay, and that's wild. That's absolutely wild. And this is kind of the conventional wisdom that I've thought the opposite of for a long time. Everyone else goes out there. You saw this with literally anyone who's got canceled for whatever reason in the past, 6 years. They go out, they issue an apology, and then what happens? Nothing changes. They get as much hate or more because they're keeping themselves in the news. And it doesn't do anything to help. All it does is alienate your base, and it puts blood in the water for the opposition to attack you even more. And these numbers are crazy, right? So here's an old tweet. So you know who wrote a paper on this? Richard Hanania? Hanania? I don't know. Basically, this whole study means don't apologize. And specifically, we're talking about public figures right now. Obviously, if you are at home and it's someone that you love, you can, it's a good thing to apologize, right? But just don't do it outside. Because people are brutal. People are cruel. And especially when it's along moral grounds like it is most of the time in today's culture. So this percentage is saying that Summer should have probably or definitely faced negative consequences. So these are all people who thought they should be punished. Male, no difference. Moderate, conservative, no difference in political views, really. But females and liberals, they were 16% and 14% more likely. Nah, Steph would never do OnlyFans. Oh, wait, why isn't chat working? Whatever. Figure it out later. And this kind of lines up with anyone who's been paying attention for any amount of time. This is what happens every single time. They're forced to make an apology, and then things get worse for them until they go dark. And why is this, right? So apparently, females and liberals both smell blood in the water when you apologize. They smell weakness, they go after you, and why is this? Well, I'm not sure definitively, right? Because we have the data, we know what happens, but why? I think that both. I'm trying to think, because I think with liberals it's like an inferiority complex, right? A big link between liberals is that they have a lack of self-confidence, and they either use overcompensating and helping people to make themselves feel better, or they put people down to make themselves feel better, right? They say they don't, but obviously anyone on the right, any Christian, anything like that, they will put down habitually. And that's a good portion of America right now. So females, on the other hand, females are more likely to be liberal, so potentially it could just be that. But I think females, it probably has more to do with hypergamy and sensing that there's a weak man. Both of these were men, right? Larry Summers and Rand Paul. Yeah. So it could have something to do with liberalism because more females are liberal, but it also could have something to do with weeding out weak men. Love him or hate him, Trump never apologized, and he people love him for that, right? There's something magnetic about a charismatic, powerful man who's not willing to apologize for anything, no matter what. So it's just really interesting. It's really interesting. It's something to think about, and the takeaway here is don't ever apologize if you're in the public eye. Doesn't help. Always double down, right? Double down or don't say anything. So I think in the case, bringing it all around, I think in the case of IDubbbz, he made a few mistakes here. First of all, you shouldn't just apologize for no reason. That's an even worse look than getting caught out for something and then apologizing. And then the video goes on to talk about his insecurities, about why he did what he did, and you can tell behind it all is either he's trying to impress his girlfriend or his girlfriend made him do this, and that's the vibe I got anyways. And it's just sad, man. Everyone used to love him. Used to have really good stuff. Used to be funny. He was like a vigilante, like a comedian vigilante. Go around and make fun of all the Kickstarters. How many Kickstarters actually like ship product? Is there a stat on that? How many Kickstarters ship their product? It can't be that many, right? 9% fail to deliver their rewards. Wow, that's actually a lot smaller than I thought. 9% of Kickstarter projects fail to deliver rewards. 8% of dollars pledged went to failed projects. 7% of backers failed to receive their chosen reward. 65% agreed that it was delivered on time. That's pretty good. That's way better than I thought, honestly. 13% of the time, people got refunds. That's actually not bad. I assumed that if you put money on Kickstarter, you're just rarely going to get what you want. I guess I should know better. Like I ordered a few things off Kickstarter and they came. Usually they were late, but they did eventually come. But that's kind of to be expected, right? Anyways. Guys, check this out. Super Chat. I got my Super Chats up and running. So if you guys have any story suggestions, if you want to say something, whatever you want to Super Chat for, hit me up there and I'll read them at the end of the show. I also have socials, so if you guys want to follow any of my socials, here you go. Those are all the links. Spamming chat. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing that more, so we can build it, dude. Build it. All right, onto our black pill. Woohoo! Spooky. All right, first story on the black pill. The title of this article. Yo, what up, Janix? The link on Twitter doesn't work. Which account was it from? Fuck. Let me know what account it's from, Janix. From mine? Okay. Oh, I forgot the @. Here, can I edit? Whatever. I guess it's gone forever. Alright, guys. So here's the article. The WHO warns of unusual surge in severe myocarditis in babies. So for those of you that don't know, myocarditis is heart problems that are linked to the jabberino. And now it's in babies, right? So it could be passed down from parents, from the moms, I guess. It says UK authorities are investigating an unusual surge in severe myocarditis, which has hit 15 babies in Wales and England and has killed at least one. So 15 isn't much. I bet it doesn't ever happen. They say a surge. It said that this was associated with in utero virus infection, which rarely affects the heart. The WHO assessed the public health risk as low, but added in certain situations it may be advisable to close childcare facilities and schools. Wait, transmission? What are we talking about? I didn't go through this all the way. I thought the headline was juicy and we could read it together, so. Is myocarditis transmittable? I thought it was just like a heart disease. Although in utero infections are common in neonates and young infants, the reported increase in myocarditis with severe outcomes in neonates and infants associated with in utero virus infection is unusual. Wow. Could have said that probably a little bit simpler, I think. I think you probably could have said that better. The WHO took down the alert on Wednesday. Authorities in England and Wales are currently investigating the rise in cases. Here. We're going to get a proper definition from the Mayo Clinic. Good old Mayonnaise Clinic. Okay, so it's an inflamed heart, yeah. Can reduce the heart's ability to pump blood. Myocarditis can cause chest pain, shortness of breath, and rapid or irregular heart rhythms. Infection with a virus is one cause of... Oh, okay. Sometimes a drug reaction or general inflammatory. Okay, so it can be a disease, but it can also be like a vaccine side effect. And that's what they're talking about with the clots in the blood. I wonder why it is happening like just now. You know what I mean? It's been a while. I mean, has anyone got a jab in the past year? If you have, that's wild. There's a massive question about whether or not these babies or the moms are vaccinated. How is there a question? Like, shouldn't that be really easy to find out? They have medical records, right? Anyways, something interesting there. It's not good when babies are getting myocarditis. Like, babies shouldn't have heart problems. So, I hope it's not from the vaccine. I hope it's from beans and mash or something. We have all these sudden cases of myocarditis. Ah, yeah, the old English breakfast. Did it again. Yeah, Mary Poppins is on vacation. These fucking Brits, dude. Tell them to get a real healthcare system. Tell them to get their lives together. Their food is so bad over there. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been, but it's actually as bad as people say. All right. Next story in the Black Pill. Along the same lines, figured we'd theme it up. Huge news study shows mRNA COVID jab sharply raised the risk of severe vaginal bleeds. I don't have to worry about this, but women 45 and over had a high risk of severe vaginal bleeding after receiving the shot. After studying 3 million women. Okay, medically diagnosed bleeding. So the mRNA raised the risk of bleeding by 25 to 45%. And that's a study of 3 million women. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so take it at the high, take it at the low. That's a quarter. A quarter of people who got this this jab now have like wacky vaginas. It's just all crazy down there. Just bleeding everywhere. I don't know what this means, right? I don't know what severe vaginal bleed means. Is that like when you're on your period? Younger women also had a higher risk of bleeding episodes. It's not merely painful and uncomfortable. In about 9% of cases, severe bleeding episodes are a sign of cancer of the endometrium. That sounds like a dinosaur. The endometrium. The lining of the uterus. The researchers did not examine whether the extra bleeds were linked to increased diagnosis of endometrial cancer. For the study, the researchers compared the likelihood a woman would be diagnosed with new bleeding disorder up to 1 week and 3 months after being vaccinated, with the same likelihood of a diagnosis before vaccination. Scientists drew on Sweden's national medical records, so they had a huge database. 3 million. That's such a giant study. It's about periods. Gross. All right. Gross. So they just they bleed more? I don't want to talk about this anymore. Why did I even pick this story? I don't want to talk about periods. I gotta get better at picking my stories. Or a Pokemon. Yeah, Iron, you got it. Endometrius. For younger women, bleeding rose about 40% before correction, but 10% after. Huh. Wild. Yeah, I don't... Why am I talking about this? Yeah. I'm sorry, I think that bleeding out of a vagina is gross. Oh, I'm sorry. How unreasonable of me to think that bleeding out of your vagina is weird and gross. Fucking... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, hot take here, everyone. Hot take. Oh, these don't work. What the fuck? Why do like half of my things not work? Whatever. Here, have this one.
What the hell?
There you go. I don't need a daughter. I need women to stop having periods.
What the hell?
You can't keep getting away with it!
That's what I'm talking about. That's on God. Next up. Yeah, if she ever watches this, then there's a problem. Our future daughter. But she won't. Next up. The UN, the WHO, Bill Gates are working to normalize pedophilia around the world. Okay, that's provocative. And I haven't read any of these articles, honestly, so it could be nothing or it could be extreme. But I don't trust Bill Gates, honestly. On a scale from 1 to 10, from being least trustworthy to most trustworthy, I'd say he's like a 2. I trust him enough to use his computers, but not enough to think that he might not be doing, some child touching. The United Nations and the World Health Organization, both incredibly, both very trustworthy organizations, are working to normalize pedo love, according to the Dutch author and journalist David Sorensen. Says, I've worked for several months now on gathering evidence that shows undeniably, conclusively, that the United Nations and United Nations and that's got to be a typo, and the World Health Organization and other organizations like Planned Parenthood and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are working all over the world to completely take over the education in kindergartens and elementary schools. Sorensen said for Truth for Health podcast. These organizations not only want to sexualize little children, but also tear down their natural defense systems so that they would be completely open for sexual predators anywhere, everywhere. Dude, they're trying to outlaw pants. Holy shit. They're trying to outlaw pants. So kids are just freewheeling all around all the time. In its International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education, the UN promotes comprehensive sex education, which it says is designed to equip children and young people with knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values that will empower them to ... Hell yeah, we are, dude. Quoting podcasters. But honestly, does it pass the sniff test is what I'm concerned about, right? Does it make sense? Yeah. we don't need sources, Iron. What are you talking about? When's the last time you looked up a source? Dude, for me, it was high school. Oh, a source, you mean those little number things that I don't fucking read? Yeah. No thank you. Moreover, for 9 to 12-year-olds, the WHO advises educators to enable children to make a conscious decision to have sexual experiences or not. wrongly implying that children are able to consent to sex. What do you guys think the age of consent should be? There was some heated debate on this the other day that I was watching a stream. Put a number in chat. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say 16. And I'm not doing anything illegal, right? I'm married. I'm a happily married man with a kid. But objectively, if I was autistic, I would say 16 probably. That just makes sense. I don't know why it turned to 18. You ever talk to a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old? They're like the same thing. There's literally no difference. Anyways, not to become a age of consent revisionist. Global elites serve the force of darkness. See, this is all the cite that you need, dude. Cite your sources. Boom, this headline right here. And that's the truth. You know, these people serve the forces of darkness, forces of evil in a way that you and me cannot comprehend. True, dude. According to the International Committee of Jurists, what is this? Sex with children should not be considered a criminal act if the child agrees to it? Okay, what is this? International Commission of Jurists. Rules of Law for Lawyers Project. Hashtag let's roll. Okay, let's just go to Wikipedia. Speaking of sources, Wikipedia, that's my source. The International Commission of Jurists is an international human rights non-governmental organization. It's a standing group of 60 eminent jurists, including senior judges, attorneys, academics, who work to develop national and international human rights standards through the law. I mean, do these guys have any power though? Because that's a pretty off the reservation thing to say, that kids should be agreeing to have sex with people. Current activities. Here, pedophilia. Is pedophilia here? It's not in the Control F, that's for sure. Trying to hide it. Not seeing any kid love. UN's pushed. So what is the UN doing? I know who the UN is. In April 23, 3 UN-affiliated organizations published a report that implied that sex with minors should be decriminalized. And like, how minor are we talking about? So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This might be an unpopular opinion, but there needs to be 2 categories of pedophiles. There's like a post-puberty pedophile, and there's a pre-puberty pedophile. And I don't think anyone would argue that those are the same type of person. Are they both wrong? 100%. Not arguing that. But I'm saying someone who gets in it... Shouldn't... Fuck. Okay, let me rephrase that. Someone who... someone who encounters a 3-year-old is different than someone who encounters a 14-year-old, 16-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Those are different animals. Those are different people. So there needs to be some distinction there first off when we're talking about all this. But, you know, again, both not cool. Not cool. Don't do it. International Committee of Jurists again. Yo, I don't like these jurists. They don't seem to have our best interests in mind. I'm speaking for the kids here. In a subsequent statement, the spokesperson for the UN Secretary General attempted to downplay the remarks made in the controversial document by saying that they would only apply to adolescents of similar ages for consensual, non-exploitive sexual activity among each other, even though the report never stated that it only applies to adolescents of similar ages. Okay. So that's the meat of it, right? That's what we're trying to get to this whole time. So they say that kids should be able to consent to having sex. They don't say anywhere in their original statement that it's like basically between like a 13 and 14-year-old or a 16 and 17-year-old, right? But that's what they're clarifying, right? So the question is, are they clarifying that, or are they just trying to save their butts? I don't know. It seems a little crazy that people are going to be out there publicly advocating for kids to be able to agree with adults, but you know. So, but this is the problem, right? The problem is that there are so many laws, particularly in the United States and definitely globally, there are so many laws that are so ambiguous that they really are completely up to the discretion of whoever's prosecuting and the judge and jury. And this leaves a huge door open for people like Epstein, who have connections, who have power, to be able to, you know, wiggle around things, and for people that they don't like and want to persecute, to catch them on things and throw the book at them, right? Steph made a good point. I don't think we need the UN to make these proclamations. Yeah, big agree. Doesn't seem like a United Nations type of situation here. It seems like something that should be a little bit, you know, a little bit more local. Or if the United Nations is doing it, they should say, hey, don't be pedophiles, you know? But this is the problem with, well, first of all, the UN fucking sucks. Everyone, like, nothing good comes out of the UN. I can't think of anything. That doesn't mean much. I'm not like a big history guy, but pretty much all I see from the UN is useless politics, useless wars. I mean, Ukraine was entirely the fault of the U.S. and the UN. You know, the whole reason that thing popped off was because Ukraine wanted to join. They wanted to join NATO. It's not the same thing. What's the difference? I'm gonna out myself here. What's the difference between NATO and UN? How is NATO different from the UN? NATO is designed to fight war. The UN is organized to avoid war in order to maintain peace. The fuck? This is where I get out of my depth, guys. I know it's a pretty basic distinction. Is NATO governed by the UN? 95, it was given a mandate. Janix, tell me what the difference between NATO and UN. Plot twist. So one's pro-war and the other's anti-war? Yeah, but what do they do? yeah, does anyone know? Fuck. Does anyone know? If you follow international events and politics at all, you probably heard NATO and the UN mentioned, because they're both talked about in contexts like war, national security, national disasters, global politics, and human rights. It can be tricky to know how they're different. In this article, we'll cover what NATO and UN, 5 differences. Okay. Differences. World War II, weakened West. I don't want to just sit here and read an article. So they're different in funding, structure, membership, purpose. Okay, purposes. While both NATO and the UN want global peace. Global peace? What the fuck? That doesn't even make sense. The organizations use different methods. NATO focuses on freedom and security of its members. This is accomplished through political and military means. So they want peace via military. On the political side, NATO promotes democratic values, but it also offers consultation and cooperation on defense and other security issues. The goal is to prevent conflict, but if diplomacy fails, NATO has the military power to engage in crisis management operations. That is a fundamental security activity for NATO that involves both military and non-military measures before, after, and during conflicts. NATO doesn't have its own armed forces, but instead depends on its members for its permanent integrated command structure. Because of this, NATO is considered a political and military organization. Okay. So they're about strong-arming people into peace. They're like neocons. They're like, let's go to Afghanistan and give those bitches freedom. For 20 years. Got it. NATO and the UN, their membership. Okay. We got it there. So NATO is like out making wars. The UN is like writing documents. Nailed it. So there you go. So that makes sense about how NATO started the Ukraine war. If a NATO member is attacked, all NATO members will back them. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like a little handshake. It's like when your brother goes out into the alley. He shouldn't be there. He gets all his pogs stolen. His geopolitical pogs. Then you being the big brother have to go back and you have to get those pogs back. That's what it sounds like. I wonder if they have membership cards. All right. Those are the black pills. Today's black pills. Basically, babies are dying. Potentially, 15 cases. Way less than I thought. But any babies dying is like not cool. People who got the vaccine are getting crazy periods. And then, yeah, I mean, there's some weird pro kids. I don't know if it's pro kids. Legislature going on in the UN and the WHO, the World Health Organization. Like, why are they even talking about that? Whatever. All right, on to the next. On to the next one. Time for today's red pill. Check this out. I came upon this earlier, and this, I've always thought this way. Here, check this out.
First thing I want you to do is take.
Can I restart it?
I didn't know that I was going to be sitting.
Here's a stack of resumes. And he said, the first thing I want you to do is take anybody with a 3.7 or higher and throw out the resume.
Really?
Yeah. And,
Why?
And the reason that he said is because he said, in my experience, people that have GPAs that high have a complex where they cannot communicate with people and they cannot think for themselves. Here's a stack of resumes. And he said, the first thing I want...
All right. So he's saying, I don't know who he was working for, but basically, like, if anyone has a high GPA, higher than 3.7, so that's like exceptional, throw them out because they're bots. And dude, I've been saying this forever. I don't trust doctors and I don't trust lawyers. I don't trust them at all and I don't like them. Why? Here's the thing. They're not smart. They seem smart. Everyone thinks they're smart. Like midwits think they're smart. They're not smart. Okay, being able to study a book for longer than other people doesn't make you a smart person. Surely doesn't make you a wise person. And that's what I'm more concerned about. Every doctor I've been to, they literally just Google things. I've been to, what? I mean, I've moved around a lot, so I've seen a lot of different doctors. It is so rare to find a doctor that will listen to you, hear what you're saying, trust you, and then act accordingly, then recommend accordingly. 99% of doctors that I've ever been to, they have something in their mind almost probably before you walk in the door. And they're going to give it to you, And it doesn't matter. The whole appointment doesn't matter. They might as well just write a script beforehand and just like ship it to you. But these are the type of people that are getting high grades, that are doing well in school. They're so stupid. You need someone with empathy to be a doctor. You need someone who can listen and understand that people know their own bodies. And so if they're telling you something, you should listen to it. But anyways, I hadn't heard about it in terms of resumes before. And this is exactly what he's talking about, right? He's saying anyone with 3.7 or above, they won't listen. They think they're smart, and they're going to be really difficult to get along with. Let's watch this one more time.
What I want you to do is take anybody with a 3.7 or higher and throw out the resume.
Really?
Yeah. And,
Why?
And the reason that he said is because he said, in my experience, people that have GPAs that high have a complex where they cannot communicate with people and they cannot think for themselves. He has a stack of resumes.
Yes.
And he's,
Has anyone else had that experience? I can't be the only one. The person with the highest grades in high school, would you say that they were the smartest person that you knew in high school? For me, it's not even close. The highest grades in high school, it was this girl, and she barely had any friends. Like, she couldn't even talk to anyone. But she just studied a lot. And sometimes like she would talk about how much she studied sometimes, and it was like 3 or 4 hours a night. And that's crazy. That's a smart person does not study that much. Here's the hot take. A smart person they figure out what college they want to go to. They get that GPA, and then they get into college. And then when they get into college, they literally just do enough work to pass, and then they learn other things, and they make connections. They do all the social things that are what actually matter in college. Imagine being the type of person that doesn't go to parties, doesn't make friends, sits there and tries to get good grades in college. You get out of college, you can't, like, yeah, you have a good degree, but like, you can't find any jobs. Meanwhile, everyone who was making connections, who was partying, this is why people hate fraternities and sororities, is because they seem to not be doing any work, but they get all of the benefits. But in reality, they're doing the exact right thing. They're using college to make connections of people who have aspiration. Like, that's all college is for. Of course you learn some things, but really you don't learn that much. You certainly don't learn anything that you couldn't have learned on your own with a little bit of gumption. Iron, did you have a high GPA? Am I roasting you right now? If it resonates with with anyone watching, hey, you're stupid. I'm sorry to say it, but hey, you got to get your life together. You got to figure it out, dude. Take a step back. Think outside the box. I'll tell my kid to go to college and just party like crazy. Just go nuts. But get everyone's phone number. Just lie and tell them I got a 1.0. Yeah, it's it's not just like throw out the 3.7. It's just find the lowest GPA you possibly can and then hire that person. It's the midwit. Dude, midwits are back at it. Yeah, I love the midwit meme. It is the most. It pretty much sums up life. Okay, have you guys ever tried to Google a meme and it just comes back with just Reddit garbage? A lot of these are gonna be crypto. Pie meme. He'll be in seminary. Yeah, it's possible. Friend good, enemy bad. No, you can't generalize people into groups. Here's the thing. Imagine this. Imagine this. I've been throwing a little thought experiment in my mind. Imagine a world. It's a monarchy, obviously, right? There's a king. I'm the king, perhaps. Someone else could be the king. But for the sake of example, I'm the king. A monarchy. Farmlands as far as the eye can see. Rushing waterfalls. A beautiful vista. Swedish women. The perfect place to be. You have a voting system. It's not a pure democracy. And you would just be voting about things that really don't matter because I would be the king. It would be about, like, should we increase the taxes by 10% or by 11%? Those type of votes, right? Or like, what bread should we have for dinner? And then the national breadsmith would go and cook up some loaves. But this democracy is weighted by nothing else except for IQ, and it's weighted on the bell curve of midwits. Right? It's this. Fuck, why is that so small? It's this. Geniuses get all of the power to vote, right? They're over here. Like retards, literal rock people. They look like this guy. They get as much power as the smart people. And then everyone in the middle gets less and less vote. 100 IQ people are the new poor class. All right, so what happens? These people on the left, they think with their hearts, right? Because they literally can't do anything else. They're just vibing. These people are the vibe catchers. On the right, these are the nerds. You know, these are the people who have transcended and have thought everything through, and now they're just like, they just get it, right? They've broken the code. Everyone in the middle who thinks they're so cool and so smart. No, you're not. And so you don't get a vote. This is what I'm talking about. Imagine the type of world that you would have. It would basically be a utopia. I can't see any reason why this would go wrong. Genius, powerful vote. Rock person, powerful vote. Whiny midwit, little to zero vote. So let's run it through options through here. All right. You're voting. What are we voting on? We're voting. Should we fund this? Should we fund the schools? Should we fund them regularly, or should we fund them 2 times as much this year? Well, the rock people, they would think, is my kid good? They would think, oh, my kid Jalen, you know, he's cool. He's doing good. He comes home happy. So yeah, we give the schools a little bit more money. The geniuses, they're over there analyzing like GPAs, saying, you know, we have X amount of doctors coming from each preschool class, all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, we should give some people more money. The midwits, they're in the middle saying, well, I don't know, because every day there's a prayer in school and I don't like praying. You know? I probably could have thought of a better example, but you understand what I mean here. It's worth a shot at least. It's worth a shot, because whatever we're doing right now doesn't seem to be working very well. Hey, by the way, if you guys want a super chat, go for it. That's the link. I'm going to pop it in chat too. Reading them out at the end of stream. Bingo. That's a nice little animation, huh? Check that out. Yo. Is this not the best looking stream you've ever seen? It's got to be. All right, guys, on to the white pill. We got an hour 13 in right now. First 20 minutes was me trying to get my mic working, so, you know, we're right on schedule here. Bingo. Play it. White pill time. One of my white pill stories, gonna be honest, it was the don't apologize story, because that's a huge white pill. I don't have to apologize ever? Awesome. Let's go. It also shows that we've been thinking the right thing this entire time. Don't bow down to the mob. The mob's gonna hate you more for bowing down. I think we all kind of intuitively understand this, right? The worst type of person, like, I would way rather hang out with someone who is completely opposite and adamant about it. And their own person. They understand what they're about. What I don't want to be around is someone who's just real wishy-washy and kind of like chameleons in and goes with the flow. You can't trust those people. You can trust people that are convicted. And so that makes you want to like them. You can't trust people who are just wafting around in the wind. Got those stats there. All right, next one. This is the white pill for today. California must pay churches $1.4 million for trying to make them fund abortions. Let's go.
We're about to be in the best timeline.
So this is
Mark
great.
my words.
There's been so much, like, I know it's Ukraine, but like Orthodox churches are getting like shut down in Ukraine. There's all this, like, Protestants are off the rails right now, just doing whatever they want. And from what the sounds of it, it sounds like this California church sued, I don't know, the state to try not to pay in taxes. So let's read through this. 2 federal courts have ruled against the California government over its efforts to force churches to subsidize elective or abortions, with state officials agreeing to pay the religious institutions $1.4 million in legal fees. Since 2014, several churches have been resisting California administrative actions, forcing all employers to cover elective abortions as basic health care. In health insurance plans, regardless of religious or moral objections, the Trump administration threatened to withhold federal funding to California for infringing on religious freedom, but California, under the then state attorney general Xavier Becerra? That's a wacky name. General? Oh, it's Attorney General. I was hoping their first name was General. You should name your kid General. General Xavier Baraka. Now the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services persisted, and the legal battle continued for years. Alliance Defunding Freedom, ADF, has been representing 4 churches, Skyline, whatever. In 2 separate lawsuits on the subject, they contend that California Department of Managed Healthcare, the DMHC, imposed a new mandate without passing new laws or regulations, or so much as public input. How were they paying for it? So was it just in healthcare? They were paying into healthcare, and healthcare was funding abortions? The government can't force a church or any other religious employer to violate their faith and conscience by participating in funding abortion, said ADF Senior Counsel Jeremiah Glaus. For years, California officials, in collaboration with Planned Parenthood, have unconstitutionally and targeted faith-based organizations. This is a significant victory for churches we represent, the conscious rights of their members, and the religious organizations that shouldn't be ordered by the government to violate some of their deepest faith convictions. So there you go. There you have it. It sounds like California was just basically like doing whatever they want, and then the church had to fight it. And this is a big white pill because the state has all the money, they have all the power, and they can bully people around. They can just do things. I mean, we saw this with COVID, right? They were locking down everything, and it didn't matter if it was unconstitutional or not. But they it's do first, ask for forgiveness later. Is that the saying? Yeah, it's better to act first and ask for forgiveness later. And you can do that when you're in a power position, when you have more money and more time, more resources than other people. And the states have been doing this to us for a long time. Whether it's abortion, whether it's COVID, you know, whatever you want to say. A lot of times they just do it, and these churches or normal people don't have enough money to fight back. A lot of people don't realize how exhausting and how costly it is to go through the court system and appeal these type of things, and and stand up for your rights. It's way more work than it's worth most of the time. If any of you guys have ever got a parking ticket, it's similar. They say you can go in and fight it, and whether you've done anything wrong or not, you don't go in and fight it because it's just way too annoying. It takes too long. You could just go to your job instead and make all that money back. So just imagine that on all sorts of different scales, higher and higher. The only time that it usually ends up getting fought is on moral grounds. And that's what makes this so good, is that even if you fight it, a lot of times there's no guarantee that you'll be able to pay all the way to a conclusion or that you'll get anything done from it. So to see that they actually fought for their rights and they got religious freedom from it and a conclusion and a payout, that's a big white pill for me. Shows that sometimes our justice system does work despite there being so many flaws in it currently. Like, there's one win here. There you go. There you have it. All right, let's see if we got any super chats. Super chats, super chats. This is my first time doing it, so we gotta... So let me see if I can figure it out. For anyone who doesn't have the link, if you do want to send one, go for it. If not, no worries. We're vibing. We're getting used to the show. Okay. I'm not seeing any super chats, so no worries there. We can wrap up the show unless anyone in chat has some questions. Give me something controversial that I can talk about so we can farm some clips. I think we had a couple clips in here, but... Man, this song is so annoying. There we go. All right, guys. I think that will do it for today. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go eat. I'm thinking about doing this show 3 times a week. Try and get some traction. Try and get some more content out there. Probably Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think it's a good halfway. Dinosaurs. You want me to talk about dinosaurs? Microplastics. There's plenty of dives we can do. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. I had a good time going through all these stories. Still kind of getting the hang of it, as you can tell, but I appreciate you guys all watching. We'll be back on Wednesday. Let's just do it. This Wednesday. I think 5 o'clock's open. So we're going to do that. All right. See you guys on Wednesday. Keep an eye on all the socials for the tweet when we go live. Or you can just hit that like button, subscribe on YouTube. As long as we're on there, you'll be able to find us there. Make sure to go to Rumble too, though. Rumble's our backup plan. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Big round of applause. And I will see you guys later.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.